to take a measurement of a roof via RoofLink. So from your main menu, you can just click map. I've already clicked that here, so I'm on a computer, so it's not recognizing my location. Once you select a house that you'd like to measure, you simply click on the house. Most of the time it'll pop the name in, the year it was built, the square footage of the house, the fair market value, and how long someone's been living there. So it creates all of the information automatically, which is a bonus to add. You want to double check that with your customer though when you go to build, but just click add job. So it's going to drop all the information that's in there. So if you're with the customer, you can go ahead and get the other data, email, cell phones, all of those things. But you just want to go ahead and hit submit on that. It's going to create that project. And it just adds it right to the top of the list. So you go into view job. Typically by the point that you're doing the actual measurement, you're at the color pick. So it's something that all this data has already been done, but I would do it via the map section in most cases just to save you the trouble of typing all that in. So you go to roof drawing in the customer's overview. It's going to give you a just an overview of the house. And so what we're looking at is to capture all of the facets of the roof so that the software can calculate the material order. As you notice, we got hip roofs. There's a ridge or a hip here and here. You've got a ridge running across the top, valley here, another ridge. Same on this side, hip, hip. So to draw this out, all you're going to do is go to the create building. And then you'll just start selecting the corners. So you want to be sure to get on the outside edge of the corners. Don't come in too far because you end up short and it'll end up eating into your commission. So you want to go just outside the edges. You click your first dot, come right outside to this edge here. So it's going to populate and say eave or rake. So a rake is a vertical pitch going up that's on a slope, and an eave is where a gutter is, so it's always flat. This was already selected, blue is eve, so I'm going to come back under here. There's an overhang, so I'm going to come just right outside the edge of the roof there. Also an eave, so there would be guttering here since this is a hip. I'm going to come out to the next corner. That's also an eave that runs this length. And I'm going to move this dot out just a touch because I feel like I got into the roof line a little bit. All right, so we're going to go up to our ridge. Doing this one is a rake. So you want to click the rake button, and then you're going to click your next dot on the bottom of the other side, click your rake button. It's going to automatically preset back to eve. But so you'll click right inside this line here, and that's going to be an eve. That's already correct. You're going to click right outside your hip there, also an eve. Our next dot is going to be right here. Sometimes you have to do the dot in a different location and drag it because of the way the software is, but you could put the dot out here on the next one and then pull it back to where it actually goes. And so then we're going to come to this other corner. All of these are eaves. And then we're going to come right inside of this corner, create the corner back. I'm going to pull that down just a touch. So I basically just got the whole perimeter of the structure. We're going to have to go back and add a few facets so the software knows what products to use on the roof. But we can do that after we click the finish button. So what we're going to do from there, we're going to click finish. You're going to have to know the pitch of the roof. So there's a few different ways to do that. And pitch gauge, we've covered in another video. You can use the pitch gauge and set your phone on the roof, and it will tell you the pitch, or you can take and use it from the front yard in a lot of cases. You just got to be real careful not to lean your phone too hard because it will change the pitch of the roof. And this is very important when it comes to the amount of shingles that actually get dropped on this particular project. The waste factor chart below in the training will explain what waste to select. There's different waste for different shapes of roof. If it's a hip roof, if it's a simple hip roof, you would just typically use a 17% waste factor, and you can just hit create building. All right, so it gives you the rough dimensions of the building, but we have to go back and let it know that this is a rake, that this is a rake, that this is a rake, and we've got a ridge and a valley. So you want to start just working your way across the products at the top. So ridges. So we're going to come right here to this, and we're just going to drop a ridge across the top of it so the software knows. Same way here, we've got a ridge from here to here. And then hips. So we want to make sure to get our hips. We're going to drag it under because there's an overhang a little bit, and we want to make sure we have enough ridge material to do that hip. And then we're going to come down to the point. All right. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to go from that point and just come right back under there. Same here. Then we're going to go here to here. All right, so we've got our ridges on. Now we want to get our valleys. So we'll start right here. And we're going to pull it to the top of our ridge. Same way, we're going to be right here. Pull to the top of the ridge. All right, so I think that pretty well has all of those facets in there. Now, when you're out on the job and looking around, you want to make sure that you get all the pipe boots and everything that's on the roof as well. So we're going to have to order products for those pipes. If there's chimneys, we're going to have to know the dimensions on the chimneys. Now, if you're there, I can tell that this actually has a chimney right here. I can't see it very good, but I can see the width of it based off the shadow that's right here. But I'm not going to worry about that part in this particular measurement. If you've got multiple pitches, in which cases a lot of times you do have multiple pitches on a roof. So the accessories you can drop down, like so if you've got a pipe boot, you can just put in pipe, and it'll show the boot. So insurance 3-in-1 pipe boot, and you can just drop one. So that's a pipe boot there. You got a pipe boot there in here. Also, you've got counter. So you've got, this one is an apron flashing in copper, and this one's just a standard apron flashing. So you would want to drop that on here as well. Let's just say that we have a turbine vent. All right. So I'm going to pretend like this is an insurance job. So I'm going to go ahead and leave. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I use the one that is the turbine. Now this is a remove line item, and this is a replace line item. Once you get used to seeing summary reports, some insurance summary reports will list out the remove separately from the replace. Most of the time they just have the replace line, or it's a remove and replace lumped together, but we just have this one in here because we're going to edit the price of it anyway. So I'm going to say that this thing has 3 turbines on the roof already. All right, so we have those accessories on there, and so let's go back and talk about the pitches of the roof. So if we had a section that was a 412, like say I think these are lower pitch than this part of the roof is, you just want to go in and sketch that part of it out. That's a 412. And it will separate that from the footage of the steeper portion of the roof. I'm going to drag that back out, because you want to make sure to get all of the pitches in there, so we know what we're working with when it comes to the pitch. All right, so I'm going to call this one slope in the front a 9. I know our base pitch that we put in was a 6. So I'm going to call this one a 912. And you just hit finish. So what that's done is lump this as a 9. These are both 4s. and then it left our 6/12 pitch on this front gable. Now I don't know that that's necessarily the pitches of this. You'd have to check it on the side, but those are what I logged it in here. So the More Tools section, it's got eaves, and rakes. So the part that we haven't encompassed in this, now this software is calculating drip edge. So you know every rake and eave we're going to need drip edge on. But right now we need to let the software know that that actually is a rake, because it's just showing it as a field right now. It doesn't know that that is a rake product. So we're going to go in and click rake, and we're just going to drag it from there to there to there. All right, and so the rakes will show us dotted lines. It's like that one in the front that we first drew when I changed it to a rake. So we're going to go back here, click that, back to there, back up to the top. So I think we've got our rakes covered. So we've got up this edge. There's a couple places that we're going to need some flashing on this roof. Now we went ahead and dropped in the counter flashing for the chimney. Now that will be set in based off of the number, the chimney that you actually put on there. So if you went back to the accessories, you can just type in, there's 3 chimney products on an insurance job. There is a large, a small, and there is an average chimney. So this is the actual length or the width, just the dimensions of how it hits the roof. So 32 inches by 36 inches. This is a replace line item. If your insurance summary has both, you can go back and add that in there at the time. But if you drop in the particular chimney, the software will calculate how much counter flashing is going to be needed for that. And if it's on your summary, you'll have to drop it in anyway to make your numbers match. But so I went ahead and dropped that in. But going over to the ridge vents, so if the customer has pre-existing ridge vents, you would want to drop it on there. If they don't have ridge vents, then you wouldn't drop it on. So when you're doing your diagram, think about it in terms of this is what the roof actually has at the time, not what they're upgrading to, because you'll want to drop those upgrade line items in later when you're actually doing the estimate. So right now we know that this roof is pitched this way, this is pitched this way, so this is the way the water's running, and the water runs off this way. So anytime a sloped area of a roof meets siding, which it would meet siding in this area all the way across, because this is dropped below the actual roof line and it's running into the siding of the house. Any place that an area is sloped, it's going to need step flashing. So you would take and click here, and you're just going to run that length that's sloped, and then you're going to run this length that's sloped, and so that's allowing for step flashing there. We're going to do the same thing here to here, and here to here. Okay, so the only other flashing that we're missing here is an apron flashing that's going to go in this area that's flat. So it's a flat line, it doesn't step down, so you don't need step flashing because this is running flat against the siding. So we're just going to go in and change this to just a simple flashing line item. We're going to drop it in right there. We're just kind of connecting the dots because there's, at all points it would be flashed to some degree all the way across. So that completes the roof diagram. There's something right here on the roof. Can't tell what it is because I'm looking at the satellite, but you would have pictures and be on the job. I suggest doing this sitting in the driveway. And I suggest doing it on the time that you sign the roof, so it's already in there. So when it comes color pick time, you don't have to worry with trying to get this done sitting at the kitchen table with the customer. So you just click finished. All right, and it generates the whole roof, all the measurements. That's pretty well the step-by-step process how to get the roof measurement on a computer.